Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I hope everyone is well. We have marketing royalty with us today, folks. Joining us for this session is a man who's been called one of the world's most celebrated marketing strategists by his peers. Bill Glazer excels in so many areas. He's a best-selling author of the Öutrageoues series of marketing books. He's also co-written the Peak Performance series. He's a keynote speaker and an award-winning business growth strategist. In fact, I've been looking forward to meeting our guest and have been following his activities for a while now. I'm pretty sure we will get quite a few ideas and hopefully have some fun along the way. In this session, we're going to cover how Bill got started in online marketing and how a chance meeting changed his life. Bill also tells us who impresses him the most these days and why you're never too old to stop learning. So join me in welcoming Bill Glazer to Red Advertising and Marketing Conversations.
Well, it's good to be with you.
Well, let me start by asking, I suppose, the question you might get asked the most, Bill, which is how you got started in marketing?
Oh, well, listen, which is kind of an interesting question, but I get that question a lot. Listen, when I first got out of college, I went to work for my father, who had a menswear business, okay? And actually, I worked there for, I hate to tell you this, about 20 years with my father, okay? And then at that time, somebody asked me, a good friend of mine had a menswear business, said to me, and I was in Baltimore, and my friend was in Philadelphia, and he said to me, we should come over and see this huge event that they're having there, okay? And you would probably enjoy being there, okay? It was a place called Peter Lloyd's event, okay? And so I got on the phone and went over there, okay? And I sat there and I was listening. It was a whole day, and it was all these presenters, okay? And at the very end, they said, by the way, it's 5 o'clock, and if you want to go and drive and go to your car, that's fine. But then we have another presenter, okay, that you probably never heard of him before. And if you go now to try to get your car, you'll have to wait a long time before you can get your car. So he said, why don't you say, told everybody, if you want to stay, we have this other presenter, he's a marketer, and you should listen to him. And of course, at that point, they started about 10,000 people there, and about 7,000 of them went out to get their car, but I stayed because I was in the menswear business, and I wanted to learn how to do marketing. And there was this guy named Dan Kennedy was this presenter, okay? And so I sat there, and at the end, Dan Kennedy was nice enough to offer me a product, and the product was actually magnetic marketing. And I bought it, which is also interesting because when I was with my friend who also had a menswear business in Philadelphia, he said to me, listen, let's just buy one of them and we'll save it together, okay? And I said to my friend, listen, I'm going to buy it myself, and as I'm going back, I'm going to call through everything that's in there, which is what I did, and that's how I got started with Dan Kennedy. And at that point, it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, because from there, in the next 2 weeks, it was 2 years after that, the same event came to speak in Baltimore. And so at that point, I actually called him, okay, and I said to him, listen, you don't know me. My name is Bill Glazer, and 2 years ago, I bought your product, and now you're back in Baltimore, and I love to actually buy you dinner because you've been so helpful to my business. And he called me back, and he said to me, Bill, he said to me, listen, first of all, I can't do dinner with you because right after the event's over, I'm going to go back to where he's at, okay? But if you want to have lunch, we can have lunch. And at that point, I had lunch with him. And the other thing that was funny about it was I said to Dan Kennedy, listen, when I go there for lunch, I'm not going to bring over all the stuff that I'm doing now because I don't want to bother you, but I'm using all your stuff that I learned from you. And he said to me, and I'll never forget this, he said to me, Bill, if you don't bring all your stuff with you, you're just stupid, okay? So bring it with you, okay? And so we came there, we had lunch that day, okay? And he started looking at all my stuff, which basically I was doing everything I'd learned from him. And he said to me, Bill, can I keep some of it? This is from Dan Kennedy. He said, can I keep some of it so I could show it in the newsletter, okay? And I said to him, listen, I'll be happy to do that. But as a matter of fact, when I bought the product, you sent out a letter to me about your newsletter, and I started to buy that, okay? And then he said to me at the end, he said, listen, I have an idea for you. And I said, what's that? He says, well, now that you're in the menswear business and you're so good at it, you should create a business to teach other menswear businesses how to actually grow their business, okay? And I said to him, well, listen, I never heard of this thing before. And he said to me, listen, I have a lot of clients like that do it in different categories that actually do that. He says, I'll help you to put it together, okay? And then he also says to me, he says, and at the end of it, once you put it together, in order to keep it stronger, you should join my it was that time it was called the Platinum Mastermind Group, which I said to him right away, how much does that cost? And he was telling me how much that was. It was a lot of money for me at that time. And I said to him, listen, let me just think about it. And then before we left for lunch, I said to him, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I started to do that. And after a while, I was with his mastermind group for about 4 years. And then I said to him, listen, I called up Dan again. I said, Dan, listen, I know you like a lot of things like with different kinds of products and things like that. He says, well, there's one that's happening in Baltimore, and I'd love if you actually come to Baltimore and actually we'll spend some time together. And he did. He flew over to Baltimore, and at that point, at the end of it, he said to me, Bill, you know, you're doing so good, especially in my mastermind group. I'm looking to sell my product, my own business. Would you be willing to buy my business? And I said to him, my God, he said, I didn't know coming here to figure out I'm going to buy your business. And he said, Louise, why don't you buy it? Because you'll do really, really good at it. And at the end of that call, I already bought his product, okay? And we developed that product into a company called Glazer Kennedy Insiders Circle, okay? And we owned that company pretty much together for 8 years. And at the end of 8 years, I sold that to a private equity company, okay? And Dan still stay involved with that company, which is after it was called Glazer Kennedy, became called GKIC. And that business has done pretty well for many years, although the private equity pretty much hurt the business a lot. But that's another story for another different day.
Well, that is an amazing story, Bill. It just goes to show that you never know what tomorrow brings. In your scenario, you made the choice to stay for that final presentation, which in hindsight it actually was a major life-changing moment. By being open to new ideas and opportunities, you could say that it was probably the main thing that defined your course from that moment onwards. When was this? When did this all happen?
Well, so when I actually was in Philadelphia, it was in 1994, okay? And then he came back to Philadelphia, to Baltimore in 1996, okay? But I think the important thing about this, which could really help a lot of people understand the story I just told people, is this: that number one, I started out in the menswear business, okay? But because of the fact that I could go to the special event to hear about Dan Kennedy, okay? And that's the point that I learned myself that, gee, this is no longer about being in the menswear business. This is about me learning how to do marketing, okay? And that was really a big thing for my business. And I would say that to anybody else that's listening to this right now, okay, you don't have to be in a regular business or any business at all. As long as you learn marketing and use marketing in your own business, you can really grow a very, very large business for yourself. And actually, I mean, as I own my business, which is called Glazer Kennedy, I had my own mastermind groups, okay? And many of the members in my mastermind group built huge businesses. As a matter of fact, one of them that was in my business, this coming in a couple of months, he's doing his own event, okay? And he invited me to go speak at his event. And I said to him, I'm not going to mention his name. I don't think it would be right to mention his name. But I said to him, how many people are going to be there? And he said to me, this is one of the biggest marketing events in the year. He said to me, there's going to be 10,000 people there. And he said, Bill, I want you to present for me. So actually, my point is that through a whole process of learning marketing, not only can you learn marketing for yourself, but you can help other people to grow a huge business as well.
Amazing. How hard, or should I say easy, did you find the marketing? Once you realized that was the direction that you needed to go in to grow your business, how easy or how hard did you find it?
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, first of all, I would pretty much say to anybody who learns how to build a big business of any kind of business at all, okay, you have to work at it. You really do have to work at it, okay? I mean, again, when I owned my own menswear business, because eventually I became two stores, okay? I had about 38 employees that were there working there. But when I built my marketing business, which was called at that time Glazer County Insider Circle, okay, we built it up to until I sold that business to about 28 employees ourselves, okay. And the reason why we kept growing more employees for that was because of the fact that as the building get bigger and bigger and bigger, I needed more employees to help me to even help our members to be able to help them. Okay, so so again, here's the thing I would say, because as I know that this is in a newsletter that this is going out about, is the fact that eventually you want to build a business, okay, so that you can create a pretty large business for yourself. And my point is this, that when I owned my own menswear business, okay, I used to think to myself, you know what, I would sell people suits and things like that. And they would make sure that the suits look great, okay? But when I was in the menswear business and I had all those members that were parts of Glazer Kennedy, and at some point we had 10,000 members, which are Glazer Kennedy, okay? I always said to myself, you know what, this is different, okay? Because when I was doing the menswear business for marketing, okay, for other people, okay, I could not just change how their suits look, but I could help them, the entire world, to help other people like that. And many, many people that were in Glazer Kennedy members, okay, that I was so happy that I could help other people to help their own business as a whole.
Bill, I must say it's pretty cool that you've helped other businesses overcome their challenges, too. Okay, Bill, let's get to some of the harder questions. Many people would say that you're best known for creating, as you would call them, outrageous marketing campaigns. In fact, I know that your latest book is called Öutrageoues Marketing Multi-Step Marketing Campaigns, Volume 2. So, can you maybe just tell us a little bit more about how the book came about? And also what is behind the label outrageous marketing, in general?
Well, that's actually two questions, but I'm going to make it into one question, okay? First of all, for many years, as I became a marketer, in my very first book, which was 10 years ago, okay, my very first book, which was called Outrageous Marketing, period, okay? And at that point, I learned to myself, I realized to myself that I would show other people how to grow their business by doing outrageous campaigns, okay? And by the way, the word outrageous is a key word because the key to it, and the reason why I always use the word outrageous, because when people would think to themselves that the word outrageous, it lets people know that it's going to look unusual, okay? That's what this is all about, okay? But now when I wrote my previous book and now my current book, because the first one was volume 1 and now this is volume 2, okay? On volume 1 of this, I actually would teach people 7 steps to create outrageous campaigns, okay? And then when I did this current book, which is now volume 2 of that, I moved it from 7 steps to 8 steps, okay? Now, let me just tell you a little bit about both of those books, okay? What those books is that I reached out to people, and I'm lucky enough to know the right people to ask to send me their campaigns, and I place them in the book, okay? And my very first book that we're talking about, which was about 2 years before this, okay, there was about 52 campaigns in there, okay? And I placed them into the book. And then my next book, which is the new book right now, which is volume 2 of that, there's now 42 campaigns in this, okay? And as I was having people send me their campaigns for this upcoming book, I moved it from 7 steps to 8 steps, okay? And I will tell you that was a big change, okay? The reason why is because in the previous book that I had about 2 years ago, there was only 7 steps. But it wasn't until people started sending me, well, I was actually really particularly one particular lady sent me over a campaign. And as she sent it to me, I started looking at it, okay? And at that point, I got on Zoom with her and she was telling me about it. And at that point I said to her, listen, and actually I'll tell you a little bit about who she is in a few minutes, but I said to her, listen, I don't, I really don't have a lot of time right now to go through the whole thing because I have to get out. But can you send me over some information about yourself? And I'd like to see your websites and things like that. Okay. And she sent it to me. Okay. And when she sent it to me, I called her back and I said to her name is Marisa, by the way. I said, Marisa, when I started looking at this, you hurt me a lot. And she said, why, Bill? I said, because when I started looking at it, I couldn't fall asleep all night. I looked through everything you sent me. Yeah, I went through it for about 6 hours looking at everything there was. And at that point, I said to her, Marisa, this now adds a new step to the outrageous campaigns. So now I moved it from 7 steps to 8 steps. And actually, the current book that we have right now has that in there. So now there's 8 steps. And actually, I go out and present quite often. And now when I talk about it, I talk about all the 8 steps that are in there.
Wow. Yeah, I have read the original book and found it really informative. I'm really excited about reading Volume 2 as well, especially now I know there are a few new tools that's in there. Bill, with respect, you could say that you're in the older age bracket for most online marketers, having been in the industry so long. You've also worked, as you mentioned before, alongside Dan Kennedy for many years. I'm sure there must be quite a few highlights or any funny stories that you can share with us.
Well, listen, if I can tell you funny stories about when I worked with Dan, I would take about 4 days to explain that whole thing because everything was happening was funny. But I mean, even like I would tell you one of the funniest things that happened. Okay, when I bought the business from Dan, one of the reasons why he wanted to sell his business, which I didn't know at the time, was because he was married, okay, and he's married and it was falling apart, okay, and so that's the reason why he just wanted me to buy it because he didn't have any employees at all, okay. And the funny thing about it was, so I started growing that business with Dan, okay, and then about 2 years after that, he came back and he says, Bill, I'm getting back together with my same previous wife. Okay, we're getting together again. Okay, and I want to invite you and your wife, which my wife is Karen, to when they get married. When they're married, we'll go there together, and we'll be there to see both of them getting married together. And so that was sort of a funny story because the fact is, Dan would often say to people, well, the reason why he had to get out of the business was because his wife was leaving him, okay, and taking half of his money, okay? And so now Dan didn't have as much money, so he had to sell the business, okay? And of course, then after he got remarried to the same lady right now, he also would laugh about the fact that he says, yeah, now I got my other half back now right now. So it wasn't about just because the money came back with his ex-wife, came back to them as there. So it was kind of a funny story about that. But listen, with Dan, there were so many things that we did together. I mean, we would go present, we would present events everywhere. We went to United Kingdom. We went to definitely to Canada, a lot of other things. Certainly in the United States, we would go present a lot together as well. And often there would be really funny things that would happen as we would all do together. So, but that's like a little short story about when his wife left and came back again. A lot of people, I like to tell that story.
That's a great story. I can see now where the idea Outrageous was seeded. It sounds like Dan was taking your lead there. Pretty cool, hey? You two work so well together. Okay, now, in terms of marketing, let's talk about 2020 and beyond. I'm pretty confident I can say you'll keep the outrageous marketing strategy and it will still feature strongly moving forward, and I think you will just keep getting more of a following. What about others, Paul? You know lots of marketers. Who do you think does the best marketing or the most outrageous marketing these days?
Well, I'll answer to you differently, okay? But I'll probably give you a better response by doing this, okay? So when I did the last book, 2 years ago, and now the current book, okay, this is what I did. I reached out to other people to send me their campaigns and put it in the book. Now, it's an interesting conversation about this because of the fact that when a lot of people say to themselves, how do they learn the next marketing? Actually, it wasn't that I created the marketing. People were sending me their campaigns. And they were sending me the campaigns, I was learning new things I never heard before, okay, like I mentioned before about Marisa, okay? And so today I would basically say this, is in order to learn better marketing for yourself, you have to, number one, see what other people are doing, okay? And always look for that. And so you say to your point, gee, this is so, I've never seen this before. I got to stop this. I got to do this myself in my own business. Okay. And again, a lot of these campaigns that I got that are things that now many of them I knew before and I'd seen them before, but I'm always looking for new things for that. I mean, like, for example, I would say to you in the current book, which is now 42 campaigns in there. Okay. There are actually in there, actually all 42 of them are great campaigns, number one. But I would say that if you think about it, one of the campaigns in the book is in campaign number 16, which from a guy named Joe Polish, which you might have heard of him already. He's a well-known guy, okay? And I reached out to Joe. I said, Joe, send me a campaign because I want to tell people, put it in a book, and people could actually learn from it. And so actually I talked, and I wasn't expecting Joe's campaign to be the way it was, but here's the campaign that was put together, and this is in the current book, which is an outrageous way to use your marketing chops to find true love. And this is kind of a funny story because of this. Is because Joe was never married, okay, and he wanted to finally find a great lady that he would be together, okay, and then as I started to go through the campaign with Joe, I said to Joe, this isn't about you getting the right wife for yourself. This is about love in general for your business. And Joe said to me, you're right. That's really, as I created this, I started to love everything by doing it the right way. So I did, yes, and he did, by the way, he found a great wife, a girlfriend actually. He never did to get married, but he said, I started finding love about helping my customers, helping my clients, helping everything else. He says, that's the kind of person I am. This is what Joe was saying, is you just have to think about the fact that everything you do in your business, you have to be in love with it, okay? And which is a really great campaign. And actually, as people should buy, who is going to buy the book, which you should buy that book, by the way, you definitely look at Joe Polish's campaign, which is campaign number 16, which is really a great thing to teach people. I'll mention one other one if I can, which is, well, not one, I know that we only have so much time, but I'll mention again about Marisa, okay? And her campaign is number 42 in the book. And you definitely want to read that book, number 4, that campaign in there. And that's an outrageous way to increase sales, customers, retention, and lifetime value by getting people to do something none of your competition are even thinking about. Now, I will tell you this right now about that. You want to read that campaign in the book. It's on campaign number 42. Because after I learned about it, I start using that in my own business right now. And I'm always in my head, I'm saying to myself, I should be using that, which the key to this whole thing, which his campaign is about, is as soon as people see the first part of it before they buy something, he sends them something, she sends them something next and next and next. And people want to continue to eventually decide that they want to buy his products. Because one of the things I teach people right now, there are 7 steps before somebody says yes, okay? And so you have to use a lot of different media, online and offline media, on, in order that somebody gets to the point they say they're ready to buy something. So with Marisa's campaign, it's one of the most powerful business that she does right now, by the way. She realizes that people just don't buy right away. She has to continue to send things to them until they're ready to actually buy her business. And her business, she sells it for quite a bit of money, okay, as she should, because what she delivers to people really helps them to grow their business.
Yep, well, I think a couple of things we can take from that. Firstly, Bill Glazer is still learning now, even though you've been in this business for many, many years. You obviously enjoy learning new ideas. And if we look at the Joe Polish story, you could say that I guess, to be successful, one has to learn to adopt, especially when you're talking marketing. And let's keep in mind just how broad marketing is nowadays. Just walking into your local store is, when you look at it, is a part of marketing. Every time you interact with people, you're creating let's say a persona, and the impression you leave is in fact a form of marketing. I think that is one of the biggest takeaways I've got tonight. Okay, well, what are you most proud of, Bill? What would you say is your proudest moment?
Well, actually, before I answer that, I just want to make two other really quick comments about this. Because I mean, in the book, okay, there's another campaign that's in there that when you buy this book, you want to make sure you read this, which is a book from the guy named Nick James, okay? And obviously everybody who's going to see this hopefully know of Nick James and definitely want to look at that as well. But the second thing I'll say this that we're talking about, I mentioned the fact that there are now 8 steps to do outrageous campaign. And here's what I would say to everybody who's listening to this right now. After you learn the 8 steps, you want to learn the 9th step and then the 10th step. And now I don't know what they are yet, but what I'm saying this is you're always looking for new ways to do things, okay? So when I started with 7 steps and now I'm up to 8 steps, you always want to think of new things that you can add to help your own business that you weren't using before. Now, getting back to your question that you said to me, okay, what is the thing, or actually, would you ask me that question one more time? I just want to make sure I give you the right response.
Yeah, of course. It was just, what are you most proud of? You've been the business now for many, many years, but is there any one thing personally makes you proud?
I'm most proud of the fact that I've been able to help other businesses to grow their business. Okay. I mean, right now we've created a new business, which is called the Alliance, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later on if you want me to. But when I created this business now, the purpose that I created this business is to be there. Yes, I want to make some money. Yes, but everybody in your business, everybody who owns a business deserves to make money. But at the same time is I always, to me, it's very important for me, for people that or be members of my business, that they actually can get great value to their own business. So this isn't just about taking money from them, but this is giving them money back and teaching them different kind of marketing in their business.
I think that's a really good point. It's all about the value exchange. Like anything, you invest, usually, to make a return. It's good to hear that's high up on your agenda, Bill. Okay, we are running out of time. So let me remind you, you promised to tell us more about the Alliance.
Yeah, the Alliance actually, we created a new business, okay, which is, we're very proud of it. It's actually with my daughter and who lives in the West Coast. Okay, I live in the East Coast, and also with another partner of ours by the name of Rob Kueska, who also helped to write this last book. And he really knows. Not only is he great at helping people to write books, but he really understands multi-step marketing. Okay, so the three of us got together. Okay, and we actually are now telling. This is called the Alliance, and we help people who want to become a member to help them to actually grow much larger businesses. Okay, and by the way, as I said, he's in the United Kingdom, so pretty much not. He's a county. He was born. He originally was United Kingdom. But my point of this is this: the fact that in order for us to learn this business, pretty much Monday through Friday at around noon, we get on Zoom and we see each other, we talk about each other, we discuss things, and we continue to help to grow that business larger and larger and larger. Okay, and so that's part of the Alliance. And the other thing that we do for the Alliance is we not only do it by teaching people each month how to do things, okay? But at the same time, is every 6 months, all of our members, we invite them to come together, okay, throughout the United States around, okay? And pretty much every 6 months, we have this event, okay? And at the event, we actually do two things there. Number one, we continue to present and teach them. And the other thing is that people that are members of the Alliance, if they have created a great campaign for themselves, we ask them to come and present at the event to teach the other members what they've done that's working them so well. Okay, so these are the steps. The first thing is people become a member of the Alliance, and then we continue to teach them through each month. Okay, and then every 6 months we actually bring them to a live event. And then the other thing we do is the fact that part of the Alliance, okay, is we look for the right people to be a member of our mastermind group. Okay. Now, when I owned Glazer Kennedy, I had some of the largest people in the mastermind group in the world, okay? And as I said before, one of the guys that were members of that, he invited me to come speak at an event, at the end of March, and then there'll be 10,000 people there. So my point is that things that happen like this, for him to get to that level, the guy that invited me, he had to first learn marketing himself, okay? And so, but you can do that. You build huge businesses. So again, I'm not hoping, as a member of the Alliance, I want to get more of those people on a mastermind group so they can eventually take a business so large that they can help other people.
Okay, and how can people find out more about the Alliance?
Well, as I said before, the first thing people should do is buy the book, okay? Because with the book, you'll get so much volume there. But also, as a member who buy the book, you'll get the opportunity to eventually join the Alliance, okay? And the other thing is, happens a lot, is the fact that often they get the book, they say to themselves, how can I get connected to Bill, okay? And this is how I always answer people. I don't give you my phone numbers. In order to get connected to me, first buy the book, okay? Go through all that information that's there. After that, you can become a member of the Alliance. And as a member of the Alliance, you can not only connect with me, you can connect with my daughter, Mara, and you can connect also with Rob Kueska in order to help your business. And that's the best way to come to any of us, is the fact that firstly, you have to get enough marketing, you have to understand marketing well enough that you're ready to be connected with us, okay? So that's sort of a strange answer to your question, but that really is the right way.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. Okay, you mentioned Rob Questa. I think we're going to get him on a future episode. I'm looking forward to speak with Rob. We should maybe get Mara on, as well. Maybe you can help us sweet talk her into appearing. She's not so keen.
I'm not going to make a comment about that because I don't want to push that on to Mara, but actually she would be wonderful to do that.
Fingers crossed. One day maybe. Okay, now Bill, thank you again so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. So, give yourself plug. Bill, if anybody wants to find out more about Bill Glazer, how can we find you online?
Well, once again, just look at the link on this right now, and then at that point, you can just buy the book, okay? And that's where you want to get started, is you want to start with the book. I would tell anybody, I don't care who it is right now, how big their business is, they should be reading this book first, because there's so much value in that book that people could immediately get value for themselves.
And the title of the book again?
The full title is Outrageous Multi-Step Marketing Campaigns That Are Outrageously Successful. And there's volume 2. And then, of course, the volume 1 is just the same title, just doesn't have volume 2 written on it. But those are the best ways to actually get the book.
Great stuff. Bill Glazer, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. And we will see you next time on the best marketing podcast online, Red Advertising and Marketing Conversations. For more conversations, simply go to the Red Dog website. Bye all and have a great week.